Welcome back, book talk enthusiasts, to another exciting episode of Dragons and Spaceships, where we shine a spotlight on all the sci-fi and fantasy books that are taking the platform by a storm. I'm your host, Brandi, and today we are exploring a novel that blends the eerie vastness of space with bone-chilling horror. That's right, we're talking about Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. But before we dive into this book, let's take a look at the realm and galactic rankings of trending books this week. We have The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall, Under the Surface by Diana Urban, Nicked by M.T. Anderson, Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolfe, and The Ashton Throne by Victor Marquez. Now, back to our topic at hand, Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. First, let's read the Goodreads synopsis. A crew must try to survive on an ancient, abandoned planet in the latest space horror novel from S.A. Barnes, acclaimed author of Dead Silence. Space exploration can be lonely and isolating. Psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of ERS, a space-based condition most famous for a case that resulted in brutal murders of 29 people. When she's assigned to a small exploration crew, she's eager to make a difference. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. While Ophelia focuses on her new role, her crewmates are far more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her. That is, until their plot is discovered gruesomely murdered. Is this Ophelia's worst nightmare starting a wave of violence and mental deterioration from ERS, or is something more sinister? Terrified that history will repeat itself, Ophelia and the crew must work together to figure out what's happening. But trust is hard to come by, and the crew isn't the only one keeping secrets. So, if you are someone who loves a good scare mixed with the loneliness of space and the unknown horrors it might hold, this book is right up your alley. But what exactly makes Ghost Station so special? What are the elements that will keep you on the edge of your seat, turning pages late into the night? Today, we'll break it down. Let's start with a brief overview. Ghost Station is set on an abandoned space station, once a thriving hub of activity, but now shrouded in mystery. Our protagonist, Dr. Ophelia Bray, is sent to the station with her team to investigate strange occurrences and retrieve what they can. However, as you might expect, not everything goes according to plan. What they find, or rather what finds them, forces them to confront horrors beyond their imagination. Ophelia Bray is a psychologist who specializes in ERS, or environmental response syndrome, a condition affecting those who spend too much time away from the Earth's natural cycles. But as the crew delves deeper into the station's secrets, Ophelia's skills are tested in ways she never anticipated. The lines between reality and hallucination blur, and the crew is thrust into a nightmare they may not survive. Ghost Station is more than just a typical horror novel. It weaves together psychological tension, supernatural elements, and a deep exploration of human fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of isolation, and fear of what lies beyond death. The novel begins with the crew's arrival at the station, which is eerily quiet and deserted. But as they explore, they discover the signs of violence and terror, logs and recordings that hint at the horrifying events that unfolded. As the crew members began to experience the strange occurrences, the tension ramps up, with Ophelia's expertise in ERS becoming increasingly important and increasingly inadequate. What stands out in Ghost Station is how it uses its setting. The space station isn't just a backdrop, it's almost a character in its own right. The cold, dark corridors, the malfunctioning systems, the sense of being utterly alone in the vastness of space, all of these elements combine to create an atmosphere that is both claustrophobic and terrifying. Now let's talk about the characters, particularly our protagonist, Ophelia Bray. Ophelia is a fascinating character, a psychologist who's used to dealing with the minds of others, but finds herself increasingly struggling with her own sanity as the events on the station unfold. Her internal conflict is one of the novel's strengths. You see, she's someone who relies on logic and science to explain the world, but what she encounters defies all rational explanation. The supporting characters also play crucial roles, each bringing their own fears and insecurities to the table. But as is often the case in horror, it's the characters' weaknesses that become their undoing. And as they face the horrors of the station, their relationships are tested, often with tragic results. The horror in Ghost Station is both psychological and physical. There are moments of visceral terror, but what lingers with you are the psychological scars, the slow unraveling of the mind as it tries to make sense of the senseless. It's a book that will make you question reality, much like the characters do. For fans of classic sci-fi horror, Ghost Station might remind you of films like Event Horizon or The Thing. It taps into the same fear of the unknown, that's the sense that something is out there, something that doesn't play by our rules. The book has received mixed to positive reviews. Many readers appreciate the atmospheric tension and the slow buildup of horror. However, some have mentioned that the pacing can be a little slow at times, especially in the first half. But once the horror kicks in, it's relentless. Critics have also praised S.A. Barnes for her ability to create a protagonist who is both strong and vulnerable. Ophelia's descent into fear and uncertainty is something that many readers find relatable, making her a compelling lead in a story filled with terror. So is Ghost Station worth picking up? If you're a fan of horror that digs deep into the psyche, that plays both with the boundaries of reality and illusions, this book is definitely for you. It's a chilling reminder of how small and significant we are in the vastness of space, and how our greatest fears are often the ones we cannot explain. If you read this book, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did it terrify you as much as it did me? But before we go today, we have our two other segments to go over. First, we have Dragon's Roar. In today's Dragon Roar, we are diving into the latest drama or news in the book industry. Who's excited for spooky season? I know I am. Well, if you are as well, Fairy Loot announced a special edition of Best Hex Ever by Nadia E. Fassi. Early access for this one will be on September 12th, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Next, we have the Sorcerer's Scroll, where we will look at some forthcoming fables and quests that you can embark on soon. Today, we are featuring Mountain of Fire, Black Tide Rising number 13 by Jason Cordova. This book will be available September 3rd, 2024. When the lights went out, humanity died, but from darkness came hope. The surviving students at St. Dominic's Preparatory School for Girls have had it rough since the H7D3 virus virtually wiped out human civilization. Between rampaging hordes of zombies and wannabe tin pot dictators, the only thing holding them together is the iron of the Will's School's lone surviving nun, Sister Anne. They know how to survive, but rebuilding isn't about surviving, it's about rising up. If this book sounds interesting to you, check them out on September 3rd, 2024. Well, that's it for today's episode of Dragons and Spaceships. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the realms and the starships. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into this Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. If you read this book, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more quick and engaging book reviews and recommendations. Until next time, happy reading and stay curious. Keep exploring the fantastical and the futuristic, and may your TBR pile never stop growing.